All right. Hello, everybody. The one person who's watching, thank you. Welcome to the first ever in-person live Chef Life Live.
The very first one.
The very first one. Luckily, Addison's my roommate, so didn't have to worry about staying socially distanced because we live together.
Yeah.
So, very excited to have Addison here for a farewell episode because, unfortunately, he's leaving us.
I sure am.
He's leaving Chicago to go out to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which is exciting, but we're gonna miss him. Since we're it's a little more free form with this episode because we're just talking here. I'm gonna be asking questions, looking for audience participation in this episode. So if you have any questions, let them fly. Since it's a little more in real time, we don't have to worry about lag or anything. Just let them fly, and we'll get to them.
Yeah.
But hey, Addison.
Hey.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Of course. I'm excited, dude.
Yeah, we've been wanting to do this for a while. Had to rearrange the office a little bit for the studio, so hopefully everyone can hear and see us clearly.
Yeah.
And we have some lovely beverages to keep us going.
Yeah.
Through the
40-ounce bottles of ice cold fine malt liquor.
Ice cold. If you're in the Chicagoland area, I hope you're staying warm and you're in for the night because it's really crazy out there. But cheers. Ooh, yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, that's so good.
That'll get you there. Mama Bear says she's going to miss you.
Oh, thanks, Mama Bear.
But yeah, Addison, why don't you tell our viewers a little about yourself? Give us a little bio.
Okay, so I've been cooking for 10 years now, and I started as a pizza delivery driver, and then did that for like a year or two, and then eventually, like in between deliveries, I would start picking, like making salads and stuff if they needed my help. And I was kind of drawn to like the chaos of the kitchen. It was pretty nuts. And so I started learning how to make pizza. And then eventually at that restaurant, they made me the manager or like the assistant manager kind of situation.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I was working my ass off and I still enjoyed myself. And at the time I was in school for music. But I found myself not going to class and I was going to work instead. So it was like, and then I took a semester off, and realized like, maybe I really do want to do like cooking as a job. So I looked into culinary school. I went to Le Cordon Bleu.
It's been a popular one that we've heard a lot on the show. People going there.
Yeah. It is what it is, man. I mean, like I learned a lot, but I think like a lot of people really shit on that school because it's like, I don't know, because they just don't. A lot of students never made what they could have out of it. Like you could easily get away with not going to school for 5-6 days of class period and be fine. Which I thought was pretty ridiculous because you miss so much in one day. I think I missed one day out of my entire 2 years there. And I remember feeling incredibly left behind. Oh, yeah, I missed the demo, like the demonstration for something that was on like my final exam.
Damn.
Yeah, which was souffles. On that.
Well,
I ended up getting a perfect score.
Well, there you go. I mean, you're still crushing it with souffles. Yeah. Your dinner you had a few weeks ago, you had a souffle and you said you crushed it.
Yep. Literally 2 for 2 on souffles.
Nice.
That's
good.
But anyway, so I went there. I was working at while I was in school, I was working at a restaurant called Carmel, and that was in Winter Park, Florida. So it's just a little bit south of Sanford. And then from there, once I graduated, I was contacted by Vail Resorts, and so I moved out to Colorado. So that I enrolled in like a 2-year program that was like kind of this. It was like a sous chef in training program, and so I would spend the winters in Colorado at one of their like major resorts, and then the summers in Grand Teton National Park. And I had an amazing time doing it. I got to snowboard every day for free. That was dope.
That's awesome.
But so I did that, and then after my 2 years was up, I ended up I stayed in Jackson, which is right where Grand Teton National Park is. I stayed in Jackson, and
Somebody says you're cute.
Oh, well, thanks. Who's that? Oh, my mom. Thanks,
Aw.
Mom. But yeah, so I stayed in Jackson for the winter, worked for a chef. His name is Rene Stein. He now lives in Nuremberg, Germany. He's originally from Germany, but he had a Michelin star restaurant in New York City a few years ago. And he was doing a really small kind of like entirely like locally focused. He would do like at the kitchen counter. We had, I think, a maximum of 8 seats, and we do 2 seatings every Wednesday. And the menus were like 12, 13 courses.
Oh, wow.
And it was really, really cool. And I was like, whoa, I really need to maybe look elsewhere. I thought I was doing like really fine dining. We were, making really good food.
Yeah.
Especially in Grand Teton National Park, restaurant called Jenny Lake Lodge. It was hard. It was hard to do. And then, so once I saw his cooking though, I was like, all right, I need to make some moves here for my career. And that's when I got the idea to come to Chicago. I had a friend out here who was working for the Alinea group. And I, he kept telling me to come out to Chicago. He's like, dude, screw the Colorado, like mountain town restaurants don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, come out here. And so I did. And I didn't come out here for Alinea. That wasn't necessarily my plan. Alinea happened to be hiring. Yeah. And I went and did a stage and apparently decided I would like to hate myself for the foreseeable future.
Well, I mean, it was a good thing you did, because I remember when you came in for your stage, I was already working there when he came in, and you came in and stage with Julie, my fiance, who I also met at Alinea. Yeah. And luckily we 3 of us with my other roommate, Anita, we all became really good friends because of that. And so, it wasn't all bad.
It wasn't all bad. I did learn a lot.
Yeah.
But my mental health was down the drain.
Physical health probably a little bit too. I know I lost a bunch of weight working there. So
I lost like 30 pounds.
Yeah, same.
And then my hair was falling out in giant clumps and stuff. It was wild.
Yeah, that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good.
But yeah, and then after Alinea, I was there for a year, like barely over a year or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to a restaurant called Entente, working for Brian Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really cool experience. That was 1 Michelin star, and like going there, I was like really, I did a stage, and it was just such a change of pace, because I walked in the kitchen, everyone's in beanies and t-shirts, and no one's wearing matching anything. And like rap music's just blasting. And I was like, what's going on here? Like, this place is a Michelin star. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then I tasted the food and I was like, oh, and it was some of the best food that I had ever had. And so I took the job there and started out as like garde-manger. So it was, doing all the cold sets and stuff like that. And eventually worked my way up to being tournant and then sous chef. So that was, I learned a lot. I learned a lot there. That ended up being a very difficult job. And then after that, I left there, and then I worked as a sous chef at Cabra with Stephanie Izard for about 3 weeks, and then the pandemic hit.
But you went back to work after the first quarantine was kind of over, and until the next wave kind of hit.
Exactly. So yeah, I went back and worked at Girl and the Goat, and that was fun. It was something totally different that I was definitely not used to. So yeah, that's now here I am going back to Jackson, and I will be working for a restaurant called Snake River Grill.
Nice.
My very good friend and former chef at Jenny Lake Lodge is now the chef there. And so I'm pretty stoked. I'm happy to be going back. I'm not happy to leave Chicago.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a good move for a little while.
Yeah, it's definitely still with restaurants opening back up here in Chicago and a few other places. Still tough though. Most places aren't hiring still because they still have a bunch of staff that, they've been holding on to, so they're not taking any like new people or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, it's a tough call. Definitely sad to see you go. I mean, our trip's going to be out there. We're leaving tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
So it should be fun.
5 a.m.
It's 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. Oh, hey, Taylor, Jerry. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, it should be fun going out there to see it. Your old stomping grounds a little bit.
Yeah, you're going to lose your mind, dude. It's so unreal. Like, it's beautiful. It's kind of a shame the weather, I think, is not supposed to be the best.
Yeah.
So you might not get the best views of the mountains, but
that's all right. We'll be there.
It's unreal. Especially in the summertime, though.
I believe it.
Can't even describe it, dude.
I mean, the weather here isn't very great. Our packing day today for loading up the car, it was terrible.
Awful.
It's dumping snow out there, and it was not a fun.
And to start in the morning, it was like 4 degrees.
Yeah.
And just blowing snow.
It's been real cold.
Oh God.
Real cold lately. We kept these cold by sitting them outside, not even bothering putting them in the fridge because it's colder outside. So.
Well, we have like a kind of back area behind the apartment that's still like enclosed, and that's our walk-in cooler.
It basically,
yeah.
We put stuff out there all the time. We have a few cans explode on us.
And then in the summertime,
it's terrible.
Yeah.
Taylor wants to know. He said, "You're the big knife sharpening guy. Wet or oil?" Wet for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Oil stones are they're just a little bit harder to maintain, and also they just cost more money because you have to continuously buy oil. So like oil stones, they're harder to maintain because from what I understand, you pretty much have to keep them oily. Like I know a lot of people that used to keep their stones in the oil, which it just seems so wasteful. But also, like,
a little bit.
The oil gets dirty, you have to throw it out and buy more. So it's with water stones, it's a one-time thing.
Yeah.
And you'll get a little bit more life out of the stone because, especially if you do like a splash and go, they tend to last longer because they're not as soft from being like having to be soaked all the time.
That makes sense. Yeah. Why are you wearing a cap? Your mom wants to know.
Because my hair looks like garbage, but I can take it off.
I don't know if my lovely fiance is watching, even though she said she would be.
That's so rude.
I agree. She would get a kick out of the fact that we have the beard and the mustache at the bottom, because that if Addie and I ever go into business together, that is whatever we do, that's what we're calling it, as long as I still have the beard and you still have the mustache.
Yeah.
Because it's a solid name.
Should we call Julie? No.
We'll see how long. I don't know why she's not watching right now. So you went from working at Alinea, a 3-star, one of the best restaurants in the world, to Entente, which is probably one of the best in Chicago, 1-star versus a 3-star. What was that like? Was it a little bit of the same? You said it was more challenging than Alinea was.
I wouldn't say it was more challenging than Alinea. They were both challenging in their own ways.
Mm-hmm.
The cool thing about Entente is that when I started, I had a lot of menu input, which felt really cool. I mean, we would sit around in the dining room after service every night and drink high lifes and talk about new menu ideas and just kind of, while we're going over orders and everything like that. And that felt really cool. The vibe was very relaxed in comparison. And maybe it wasn't, and I was just coming from one of the most tense work environments on earth.
Yeah.
And so I just didn't, it felt super relaxed to me because it was like, I came in with looking back on it, I feel like I was kind of a smug dickhead when I showed up at Entente, but I think that's kind of what, Chef was looking for at the time, because he was really struggling to find, from what I understand, he was like struggling to find people who could really, keep up and like, you know, really put the drive in. So it kind of worked to my benefit. And then it got really, really hard when we moved locations. So the original location was in a very small space, a little bit older. And that was over like in Lakeview. And then we moved to River North. So for those of you who aren't in Chicago or don't know much about neighborhoods in Chicago, the rent in River North is astronomically higher than it is in Lakeview. And the space was giant, and it was a brand new kitchen, never been used before, fully stocked.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, you don't find that very often.
It was really cool. I think they were intending to use it as like a fancier, I don't want to say sports bar, but they did have 2 giant TVs that were retractable, like automated. Oh, they would like go up the wall and then they would come off, and you can turn them certain ways.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
But
I wonder if
we never used those. They were up in the ceiling all the time, but they were there. They existed.
Yeah, that sounds like a sports bar.
Yeah, it was weird. And the line was set up kind of strangely. Like we were like, what? It just didn't seem very efficient at all. But brand new Rational ovens, the combi ovens, all the equipment was nice.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was a really good place to be. We were all super excited. Obviously because the rent increased, the stakes were higher. You know what I mean? We needed to make more money. And we also had the dream of pushing for that second Michelin star. Yeah. And we ended up getting a really good crew together. Like, over time, you know, we had a couple people that just didn't fit or whatever. And then eventually we got a really solid, stable crew that came in. And we started crushing it. We started making the tasting menu. Chef was putting new courses on all the time to where our tasting menu ended up being, I think it was 13 courses, and they were all entirely different than the a la carte menu, which was also, I believe, a minimum of 13 options. I think we got it up to like 16.
That's a lot of stuff.
And so we didn't know what the guests were going to order. Yeah. You know, because it's one thing if you're tasting menu only. Right. And you're reservation only as well. Like that, you can plan every detail of service out, and you know your restrictions ahead of time and all that stuff. When you have walk-ins and you don't know what they're going to order, it becomes it can be a smooth service or it can be a disaster. Yeah. And so that was really hard. And I remember, just getting pushed I was doing a lot of like prep work, and I was getting there very early. Yeah. And we were like salaried, so it was difficult to justify getting there before a certain time, but I also was so stressed out about my day. Yeah. And then we got the stall in the timeout market. And that's when things got really difficult, because I was one of the few staff members that had a car, and the timeout market only wanted to order one purveyor. And the things that we needed, we couldn't get from that purveyor. So we had to order things to the restaurant, and then I would take them from the restaurant to the timeout market. And we would also do some of the bulk prep so there was the chicken katsu sandwich that we would make the katsu in the combi ovens, because the amount of volume that we were doing with that sandwich, I mean, one half sheet tray got you 16 portions. Okay. So that's Yeah, like a 15 by 24 or something like that. Yeah, something like that. Anyway,
That sounds right.
got you 16 portions of these nice little chicken things, and you had to steam them. It was like a chicken like force meat, and you make it in the RoboCoop, and you sheet it out, and you wrap it up, and you steam it in the combi oven, like super low temperature, so it's just cooked right. And then we bread it in fresh panko and deep fry. It was so
I remember seeing pictures of it.
That was
really
so
good.
Jesus. And doing that.
Maria. Thanks for being here. Sorry.
Doing that and running the stuff in the middle of my day, and then still having to work a station and doing orders and trying to make sure everyone else is on top. I was also in a relationship at the time and I thought I was kind of juggling it all well, and eventually I didn't say anything to anybody. I was just trying to, at the time I didn't feel like I could. Yeah. I didn't feel like that space was there for me to say anything. If I did, I doubt it would have been well received. Yeah. So I definitely.
From the restaurant standpoint or the relationship?
From the restaurant standpoint.
Okay.
That also kind of, I felt like I could talk about anything with her, but I felt like I never really had the chance because I was coming home and there was always an issue. Yeah. And I just worked. I would get there at 9:30 in the morning and leave at 1 o'clock, 1:30 a.m.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And so I would get home and there would always be some sort of issue with my relationship. So I just been stressed out all day long. And,
putting out fires all day at work.
And then come home and
have one more.
And I still suck. And so I kind of lost it one night. And I feel really bad about it because I did not handle it the right way. I freaked out, started yelling and all that because I just kept pushing everything down. Yeah. And it was I felt really bad about it, but it needed to happen. And then I ended up walking out of that job because it was so much. Yeah. And I felt like I was being given so little. And it's like, it's one of those where I wasn't really being told that I was doing a good job ever. And nothing that I was doing was being recognized. And I really appreciate validation and affirmation.
Course. Especially when you're killing yourself like that. Yeah. Going way over and beyond what really, a sous chef has to do everything. Work the line, do orders, put away literally everything in a restaurant. And you do want some validation of look, I'm working really, really hard, and I know that your salary didn't reflect the amount of work that you were doing, because most of the time in any kitchen it doesn't, until you get up very, very high, like a resort or something. And so that is kind of an issue with some restaurants like that.
And then all of us low income peons are like, wow, what a sellout. Right. That guy went for the 6-figure hotel chef job. Now that I've been
real food.
Now that I've been busting my ass for 10 years straight, I guess 2020 doesn't really count. I wasn't busting my ass that hard, but the first few months I was. Anyway, but now that I've been doing it, and I'm fucking tired, dude. Yeah. I have so many gray. You can't really see them on the screen, but I got a lot of grays in here. That's why my hair is so short on the side, because it's getting gray. And I'd like to have the ability to save some money. Right. The fact that I was making more money on unemployment this summer than I was actually making at work.
Right. Even without the bonuses that they.
Well, no, the bonuses is what tipped it.
Okay.
Tipped it over.
Yeah, that was.
Still, it's dude, that sucks. For real.
It was tough. Yeah, I mean, and then on top of that, having to balance that work-life balance, and having a relationship, and if it's really hard for people in any industry where you're either working late hours or really early in the morning. You don't have that typical 9 to 5, and it's so hard when you have that extremely demanding job, especially when it's something you're very passionate about and you want to give your all towards it. And if you don't have someone who's going to really understand that, it makes it difficult. Because, of course, they want you around.
Yeah.
And with a job as bit like a chef, like you just can't be around because you're not going to be there on holidays. You're not going to be there on the weekends or any night. And you have to dedicate yourself to that restaurant for whatever silly reasons we concoct in our heads for why we should be doing that to be that next great chef.
Yeah.
But if you look at most great chefs that have like 3 marriages and that's like, is it really worth it?
I mean, yeah, it depends on what's worth it.
It does depend.
If you're okay with struggling with relationships and stuff, I mean, frankly, I mean, the last relationship I was in was the longest one that I've ever had. And it wasn't even that long. It was like
a year and something.
A year and
6 months?
I don't know.
A few months. So, I mean,
no, not even. It was like a year and 2, maybe.
Oh, well, that's not a short relationship, though. I mean, you guys.
No, but we also, a lot of that was concentrated because we had quarantine together.
That's true.
Got a dog and moved in. And
you did get a dog who's in the chair. If you guys haven't noticed.
If you haven't noticed, that
big lump
is a dog.
It's a dog.
His name's Bernie.
His name is Bernie.
And he is the cutest boy around. He is very tired. He was at daycare all day.
Except for that one. That's Bubba.
Yes. And
he's not here because he's with my mom.
Mm-hmm. But he might pop his head up at some point.
He might. He's really tired. He was at daycare all day.
Yeah.
I remember. I mean, you guys had that podcast, and you had talked about like kind of that work-life balance. You had other like chefs on, or other people talking about work-life balance, and it's like it's really tough for chefs. Did that kind of improve though when you left the Michelin world and you went to work for Stephanie Izard, which is completely different. Mm-hmm. I used to work for her, so I know like it's just very different going from one extreme kind of to the other.
Well, it was not only was it different like food wise and like the style of restaurant that she's pardon me doing there, my schedule changed entirely. So
that's right, because you went to mornings. Working. Yeah, that's right.
And at Cabra, it's early. You get there I had a 5 o'clock in time.
That's right. I mean, that's like back at Alinea when we were commies. We had to be in at that time.
But it was like me and a couple of me and like a prep team.
Yeah.
And they were just man, these little women would come in there. Most of them were like Guatemalan, and they were just the most badass prep team. You could just write stuff on the whiteboard, and they would come in and know exactly. You didn't have to worry about much. It was really nice. But that change affected my work-life balance, I think, for the better, because I was getting off around 5 or 6 every day. So it was like I was still working a lot, but it was at hours that, my girlfriend was asleep for part of it. And then she would go do her thing. She would get up at like 7:30 or 8 and go work. And, we actually were closer in schedule instead of her getting up at 7 and me getting up at 11 or whatever,
Right.
And not showing up until 2 a.m.
Right.
God forbid I ever wanted to get a beer after work. You know what I mean? It's like, but if that happened, it was like a 45-minute phone call. Anyway, so before that spirals too quickly. Anyway, I mean, it was good. It was a good thing. I enjoyed working for Stephanie though, because her presence in the kitchen is like, I mean, Chef Jeremy was on. Yeah. What, last week or
no?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
And he talked all about. I mean, she is just unreal.
She's not human.
No.
With how she works. I can't praise her enough. Her food is amazing, and the amount of work she puts into her restaurants every day is insane. I don't know how she does it.
Yeah.
And with having Ernie, her kid, who's 3 or 4.
I think he's older than that.
Is he? I don't know. I thought he was younger. No, he probably is maybe 5. I don't know how old he is, but I don't know Ernie that well. But I mean, she's quite incredible.
Yeah.
And now you're leaving us, going back to Jackson Hole.
Yep.
What are you gonna miss most about Chicago?
Oh Jesus. The convenience of stuff.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, to get the everything, you can get anything that your heart desires at any point.
That's true. Especially if you know the right people.
Yeah. But I mean, it just having stuff that's close is like so nice.
Yeah.
Because like when I worked at Grand Teton National Park, it was like going to town was like, let's make a day of it.
Right.
Like, you know, and Wet Hot American Summer when they're like,
I've never seen it.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, I've never seen it.
Well, never mind. Ghost lost on everybody now.
I mean, I get that having to go in town. I mean, you've been to Bridgman with me.
Yeah.
There's not much there. If we wanted to go anywhere, like coming into Chicago or even South Bend, Indiana, that was a day. Like, and that was like maybe a 45-minute thing, but that was a day going shopping or whatever it is. And
that's exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
You pick up a case of these bad boys, you go in and you do all your booth shopping on your day off.
Yeah.
And you would then
all your booth shopping.
Yeah. And then you go eat as much food as possible in town because like you get tired of the employee dining room up there.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Especially when I'm the one cooking it. But it's just so far away. It's like a 45-minute drive from the park to Jackson. And Jackson's not a city by any means. It's like you'll see when you get there. It's little. Yeah. You can be like, oh, that's it.
That's it.
And it can't really get any bigger because it's all the land is either like preserved, like around it. It's either national forest, national park, or it's been. Pardon me. It's the.
That's okay.
It happens. So it's been purchased by very wealthy people who don't want anyone near them.
Oh, okay.
So
well, that makes sense.
The housing out there is very expensive. It's like it's close to San Francisco prices.
Okay.
To live in Jackson.
I've never looked up San Francisco real estate prices, but I've heard that it's not cheap. It's not cheap to live, to buy, or rent. But you know that is what it is. Yeah, I mean, what about the food? What are some of your best food experiences here in Chicago?
Let's see. Oriole, for fine dining, Oriole was absolutely unreal.
Yeah,
the service at that restaurant, the food was so good, but I've never had service in a restaurant like that. It was the most attentive service ever, but like not like stuffy and unfriendly. Like everyone there was like just so nice. Yeah. And to the point where I like felt bad because I was there and it was my birthday and I was trying to make a night of it, you know? And I really wanted to, you know, sit and meet with Chef Noah, whom I had worked when I cooked at the James Beard House. We like, you know, worked next to each other, but didn't really get to like hang out and shoot the shit. Yeah. So I just kind of wanted to like see what his operation was like and the things that he did. Talk shop, I guess. But you know, he came out towards the end of the meal and it was like, he's like, all right, man, I'm gonna take off. And it's like I felt bad because I had ordered coffee. And you know, I'm just like thinking like a drip coffee. Like, can I just get a cup of coffee? Like you know, moron. Like they come out with this like elaborate system and there's like beakers and with scales and like all this and they're like doing the pour over drip Chemex type thing with this tiny little teapot that heats. What the fuck? Dude, I was like, I didn't know it was that involved. And I could tell that we were like keeping them there. We were the last ones. Oh no. And I felt so bad. I felt so bad.
Never be the last one to leave a restaurant. It's not fun.
Well, I mean, it may be fun for you. It may be fun. It's not fun for the people
but everyone
working
in the back and the front of the house is just cursing you guys up and down. They want you to leave so bad. Just
but yeah, so that was fine dining wise. I think that was my most memorable. I never got to eat Alinea. I wish I could have, but
it's pretty good.
Yeah, I heard it doesn't suck. But anyway, As far as like, dude, as far as like grungy, like late night, it's
Those are usually the best.
so we're eating one tonight. It's called Red Hot Ranch.
Red Hot Ranch.
I used to go with some friends after Alinea. Every now and then we would go just crush some Red Hot Ranch after service. It's so good. It's kind of a tie between that and this place that's called Mr. Beef. And that is right down the street from where Entente's second location was in River North. It's on...
I feel like I've seen it.
Ohio,
Mr.
I
Beef.
think.
I don't know.
But yeah,
I think I do know where it is, if I'm thinking of the right thing. Maybe not. I don't know.
Either way, it's right by the Green Door Tavern, if
Okay.
that helps you at all.
Yeah.
Anyway, we used to go there after service. I'd be so hungry because I usually would skip staff meal.
Of course.
So I hadn't eaten in like, probably close to 24 hours because I never ate breakfast.
Right.
And so I would
weight
go there.
loss is
This
such a
Italian
mystery.
beef, dude, it's so good. It's so gross in there. Like, it's so gross. Like, looking at their hood system is black, right?
That's
And well, it's not. And so I look at it, I'm like, is that black paint or is
Right.
that grease? Let's play that game. I'm like, I'm choosing black paint because
Was it though? You usually don't.
I think so. It was too even. It was too uniform.
All right. You usually don't paint a hood system, but
I know.
I suppose.
I know you don't. And that's why I was like, I'm going to lie to myself, maybe. But
Did you see their fryers?
oh God, dude.
That's
That nothing beats the time that we went to that one spot that you thought was Red Hot.
what I thought was Red Hot
Yeah,
Ranch,
and we looked at the fryers and they were like,
It was black.
oh God.
The
And
oil.
the oil was like thick.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
really
so
gross.
gross.
It was not. That was not a good experience. Whatever place that was, it wasn't it. It was.
They from what I understand, because I used to ask them, they change their fryers out every day.
Oh, okay.
But
That's
dude,
good.
the beef is so. I mean, you got to get it dipped too, where it's just soggy and just. Oh, but it's so good.
I don't like mushy bread, but I do like a French dip
Hmm.
and Italian beef.
Yeah,
I can handle it with that because it makes sense and it goes together, but not too much.
yeah. I'm gonna miss food like it because there's nothing like that in
Yeah, I
Jackson.
mean, that's
there's
what-
no grungy late night.
Yeah, that stinks. You
Fucking-
gotta have. When we used to go to, we used to walk around the corner to Devil Dogs after work at Alinea. I never worked service at Alinea, so it wasn't late night. We would get off, 9, 10 o'clock some nights. But Devil Dogs is always a good one, which unfortunately I learned closed,
Yeah, they just shut.
which is very upsetting.
Yeah,
And then real good Mexican food. Is that what it's called?
that's the name of the place.
Yeah.
What? Oh, you mean the taco joint we used to go to after service?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Taco Burrito Express number 2, I think. 2 or 3.
No, there was this by I'm blanking on the Blues Club, the Live Blues Club,
Oh, Jesus Christ, you fucked me up there too. Kingston Mines.
Kingston Mines. It's right by there, and I swear the name because Juan would take us there, and it was like real good Mexican food. Like that was the name.
I don't. The one that we always went to after service, and we'd go to the store, and then this place was open 24 hours,
Yeah,
and it was called Taco Burrito Express number 3.
It was on Halstead.
Yeah,
Maybe.
and we just went super far north.
Yeah, this one was north too. Maybe I swear they had a sign that said just
Oh,
like
God,
like the main side. And it
There's
said, like
so
real
many.
good Mexican
There's
food.
so many funny pictures in that restaurant. Just us like. I didn't usually. I don't think I've ever passed out there.
I've seen a lot of pictures of people passed out
Mhm.
in the booths there for sure.
Yes, my friend Adair.
Yeah, I've
Real bit. He's a real good sleeper. That boy.
Yeah.
And every now and then you'd hear his story. Like, oh, dude, like you come into work, you're trying to get all ready for your day. You're just getting your game face on, and someone's like, oh dang, you showed up a little late, and they're like just showered and everything.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
dog. Woke up at Taco Burrito Express. I'm like, God. Like, how am I supposed to? You guys are like supposed to be like the top professionals in the world, and
Yeah,
you're waking up in taco joints. Like, what?
I mean, that's what it is. And I mean, that's what restaurants like used to be. Like everyone would do that. I read, I'm blanking on names tonight. For Ron.
Adria.
Yeah, his book about opening El Bulli, and that's the same thing. It was in the 70s, and they would just go out after service.
Well, it's also Spain.
You know what I mean? I know, but that's not uncommon of any restaurant back in the day to like after service you go out and party hard, and then you wake up splashing water in your face if you're waking up in your car or wherever you happen to wake up. Maybe do a line and just go into work.
Yeah,
that's how I've asked my guests a couple times of like the chicken or the egg, which comes first? Is it with drugs? Like, do you think restaurants attract that type of person, or the restaurants themselves turn people into that who seek the drugs?
That's a good question. Well, so I think, you have this narrative about restaurants being the place for misfits.
Yeah.
And it's like, there still are those kinds of cooks where like, people who don't just fit in with the norms of society, but it's like also that kind of like societal norms is starting to like get weeded out because everyone's trying to be so progressive.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not everybody is trying to be, but
not everybody.
It's just kind of the way things are going.
Yeah.
Or being a little bit more inclusive of everybody. Whereas in restaurants, you're forced to be inclusive.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
Because you need people, you need good people in it, and it's a hard job. And I think that the restaurant attracts the people who are like, yeah, I mean, I'll work my ass off for no money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's only a certain kind of person who would do that. You know what I mean? And I don't do drugs.
Except alcohol.
Yeah, that counts. But I feel like there's been a large movement kind of going away from that in restaurants. A lot of chefs that I follow on social media and such have kind of started to lean more towards like sobriety. A lot of them and then a lot of them would be like, yo, I was like 3 years ago an alcoholic. Or I was addicted to this or that. And it's like, you don't want.
I think a big part of it of people of moving away from the whole drug culture of restaurants is more of chefs trying to giving their chefs a better balance between work and personal life.
Yeah.
So they don't need that release as much to go to drugs of like, well, I got to be back in 4 hours.
Yeah.
So I need to do this. They get off in plenty of time so they can go home and relax or maybe go meet out friends for a drink or whatever and not need that boost of, I got another 18-hour day ahead of me, so I got to do a line of Coke before I go in or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And so I think because chefs are getting more progressive in that and treating their staff better, that they don't need that as much as an outlet. Granted, it definitely still exists in restaurants. I mean, I've mentioned Schwa a few times.
Yeah.
And that place is notorious for the cooks and the chefs doing drugs there. But, man, the food is incredible.
Yeah.
It's good food.
Yeah.
That's
the thing, man.
We had a good experience there. It was fun, and we could see them smoking joints in the back. And it was like, what they offered us to come in the back and have a shot with them before we left, and we didn't know any of them. It was just because they wanted to, and it was, they're having fun back there, and they're putting out really good food. So
I mean, Chef Brian from Entente, he worked his way up from just a cook to being the chef de cuisine. That's why he was there for 4 years, and he was there in the heyday. Like, from what I know, we know one cook at Schwa right now. Tyler LeBlanc. And so he I talked to him about it, and he's like, oh yeah, they still party, but it's like nothing out of
I'm sure
apparently he's the culture's calmed down a little bit there.
I'm sure. I'm sure at some point
the stories that I've heard. Oh my God, dude.
I can't even imagine. Even like stories that I'm sure there were some crazy stories with like Alinea in their heyday of chefs, not necessarily like during service or anything, but just like crazy stories of the OGs of Alinea. Yeah. I mean, I could imagine, but I mean, I don't think drugs will always be involved in restaurants.
I mean, drugs are involved everywhere. I think
that's true.
The restaurant community is a little bit more forward about it.
That's true, but I feel like it's not quite the same as like an office job where like that company might demand like a drug test for whatever the case may be, or like you have to maintain your composure in an office versus a kitchen where you can like, if someone pisses you off, you can tell them to shut the fuck up and get the fuck out of my way, or like whatever you have to do. Yeah. And so it's a little more socially acceptable. And so like drugs are just always going to be a part of that in some way or another.
It's like a very like raw and like abrasive place to be in.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to get used to.
It is hard to get used to because either you're going to let someone down on a daily basis in a restaurant. Yeah. It's going to happen. Like you're not going to be able to avoid it. And so you either can be like good enough to where when you slip up, it's disappointment, or you can just be really bad and just getting screamed at every day and try to like find that balance of the two. But I know they're being on the receiving end of being disappointed in and just being screamed at. Neither are good.
Yeah.
It's very stressful either way.
Yeah, it's always stressful. It's like the day I remember I had an entire week at Alinea where I didn't get screamed at once.
Nice.
A whole work week, 5 days straight.
5 days.
I walked out of there like Rocky, just going nuts in the alley. Everyone's like, "What's your deal, dude?" I was like, "I didn't get yelled at once this week." They're like, "Wait, really?" I'm like, nope. And I felt so proud of myself for that. And it's like,
what happened on Monday?
What a silly. Oh God, I probably went down in flames. I don't know. It was probably pretty awful because it's like, the classic. Oh, I take 2 days off, and
right.
I had struggled with station partners for a while until I got like Curtis, and then everything was all right. But anyway, yeah, the restaurant industry is just wacky.
It is wacky. I mean, there's that whole, like with being progressive, there's that whole mentality of kind of like Chef Ryan has talked about it. Chef Ryan Pfeiffer of formerly at Blackbird, now with Big Kids. If you're in Chicago, check it out. Big Kids is awesome. It's really good.
It's best sandwiches out there.
Yeah, it's really good. But he had made that post about how like the whole chef life, the term of chef needs to kind of almost be dismantled. Like the way chefs used to be chefs shouldn't be how it is. You shouldn't be a tyrant in a kitchen. You need to lead by example and all that stuff. And I feel like that it is changing somewhat, and it's happening. But there are those restaurants, especially with restaurants like Alinea or French Laundry, any of those like top restaurants where they have to like maintain that image. It's hard to like not want to get worked up about it and just absolutely demand perfection in maybe an unrealistic way.
And it's like, dude, I remember as a commis, I was distressed because I was tired all the time. As a commis, you work so many more hours there, I feel. Maybe not. I think it felt like it.
I felt like it did.
And then when I got promoted, it was like a whole new level of just getting bashed.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, because there's like a whole section of my day as a commis where I didn't have to really. The only one we had to interact with was our manager in the morning, and he was like, you could just kind of laugh it off,
right?
And so once I had more interaction with the chefs, I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah,
and I don't handle that well. There are some people who just like can listen to that and be like, all they're doing is telling you to do your job, so just do it.
Right.
I like freak out. I get so stressed, and it snowballs and it's over.
Yeah.
And I do it to myself too. It's not.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we all get like that at some point. There's always that level, that breaking point to where you're like, yeah, I have thick skin. I can like shrug it off. That's whatever. But like, you never know what that person's going to say that like really just has an explosion in your brain of like, oh man, they're right about this. And then just that like shame spiral, especially in kitchens, because you're just always disappointing somebody.
Yeah.
Like
usually myself in my case.
I mean, I always thought you were doing fine.
Well, thanks, buddy.
You're welcome.
Someone's got to be there for me.
Right. I did my best at when I was at Alinea, even just being a commis. I didn't have any actual responsibility, but try to like not lighten the mood necessarily. You were good at that of kind of like lighting. If you were in a shame spiral, like you were good at kind of like releasing the tension of everyone, of making a joke or like whatever it was.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
I
was telling my buddy last night, like, I don't know, probably a couple months before I got fired. The mood lightened, and there was a turning point. I think for me was when I feel like Chef went to do a series of dinners at Blackberry Farm, so he took like a lot of the staff with him.
Yeah,
he took one of the sous chefs. He took, I think he brought. I can't remember if Miguel was there or not. Anyway, he brought a lot of the staff, a lot of the crucial staff members he brought with him, which is fine. But we were very understaffed for like this whole week. Yeah. And I think they had me start doing the cocktails in the kitchen. So I was talking to guests. I was in a guest facing position as a cook. Like, what? And like, you know, I was in a 3 Michelin star restaurant. I can talk anyone's ear off, but like being stressed out and also composed, like no. And
then also like someone entertaining and charming to the guests,
and trying to like make jokes and like you know,
jokes weren't really tolerated that much.
Yeah, they weren't. But eventually they were though. Like it got okay, and so I started feeling good, like a little bit about working there. Like I remember talking to my dad one day, and he was like, "Hey, you sound kind of happy. What's going on?" And I was like, "I don't know, Dad." He's like, "You sound so much like things are going great just by the tone of your voice." And I was like, "Whoa, that's weird." I was like, "Things are going better at work. I feel like maybe they kind of trust me a little bit more." And then you make one mistake, and it's all out the window. It's all gone. And then I started snowballing, and eventually it led to me getting fired. And it is what it is. It's fine. I was tired and didn't need to be working there anyway. So
So then you went from being a CDP, chef de partie, basically a line cook at Alinea, and then you started as garde manger at Entente, working your way all the way to sous chef at Entente, and then also being a sous chef at Cabra.
Yes.
With starting at such a low position at Alinea and then going all the way to manager, when you finally did get to management, did you change the way that you dealt with people, or
oh god,
like how did you take on management? Did you try to change anything to where like if the things you saw at Alinea were like, I didn't like how I was managed this way, so I'm not going to be that way. I'm not going to be that tyrant, or you know, how did you take on management to try to lead a team?
Dude, that was so hard. Like the thing, some people are really great leaders, and I know the people. I get along really well with a lot of different people, but it's really hard for me to be like stern about stuff. Yeah. And so that's kind of where I struggle when it comes to leadership. I also don't have that much leadership experience. I'm very good at getting told what to do and then fucking that up. So the thing is, once I got there, it was like my dream. Yeah. And I got there. And in all fairness, Chef did say, like, dude, I'm going to push you harder than I've pushed you yet. And I was already like pulling my hair out. Yeah. And he did. So it was really, really hard. Like, I struggled so much getting people to just like listen to me, especially when I was like the guy working garde manger at Entente. He was my commis at Alinea. And he's like he's a very, very, very good friend of mine. And he's awesome. And he was going through his own stuff at the time. Wasn't necessarily focused on work, I don't think, as much as we were all trying to be. And so that was really frustrating, but trying to get him to like really like be aware of like where he needed to improve was so difficult. Yeah. I still feel like I'm not answering the question. What do you remember? What you're?
Yeah, I was just asking, like, how did like being at the bottom and like kind of getting that like shame spiral like almost 24/7?
Yeah.
How did that affect you being a manager?
I felt exactly the same because the shame spiral was still constant.
But I mean, did you like relay that back to the people who were underneath you? Like you were taking that shit from the chef. Like, so there are definitely some. Oh, my mom thinks you're awesome. She doesn't like you talking bad about yourself. For Addie's mom, this is my mom.
That makes one of us.
Who's also adopted Addie as her own son as well. So, but
dude, my mom, my actual mom, is watching.
I know that's what
you're
I'm
gonna
saying.
You're gonna start a
I'm not.
Hatfield McCoy situation.
I'm just letting your mom know that I'm just not just some random person.
Yes.
That my mom also cares about you.
My mom knows where I go for Christmas. Anyway, so back to the original question. I probably did. I honestly have not reflected on it that much. But, dude, there'd be some days where I'd be so stressed out about something. And like, someone would hit me with a question that I would, and I'd just be like, I just eat. And I would kind of unload and, like, not yell at them directly. But, I'd be so stressed out and freaking out. And that would probably translate into the rest of the service. Yeah. And then I would also be like, oh, it's Wednesday, because we had a huge every Wednesday, for some reason, somebody went down. And it was like the one day a week that I was like by myself. So I was upstairs. The chef would be downstairs, but he'd be in the office, or he'd be like working on your dishes or something. Yeah. And I would be upstairs working service. And we would have like 22 covers on the books, and somebody, myself included, would find a way to just go down in flames, fucking ruin the night. And it would always be right when chef walked upstairs.
Of course, yeah.
There's like the shitty thing is like he'd be downstairs chilling, everything would be going fine. You make one mistake, and it's like, of course, that one tiny mistake, a misfire or something. He walks upstairs, sees it, and was like, wow, well, how's everything else going? You're like, oh, fine, chef. Well, I don't believe you, because that just fucking happened. And you're like, great. And so now he's like inspecting everybody, and that raises tension. And so then I get tense, and so I start snowballing myself. And that is honestly like one of my biggest flaws, is like being able to like come back from those kinds of situations, and just rally and get it done. Like I sit there and I just want to kill myself, because it's like I've failed. I feel like I made one mistake, the night's over. With. It's God, like if you ain't first, you're last.
I mean, yes, even seeing you handle things in just normal life, that's how you are.
I just want to be the best at everything.
Unfortunate.
Why is it so much to ask?
I don't know, chef. I mean, it's okay.
And honestly, like if I just want to be the best right away, like why is that so difficult?
Right, that's what we all want, but that's not how it works, unfortunately.
I've been that way since I was a kid, dude. With like golf, the hardest game on earth. Like that shit takes so much practice and skill.
If Julie was watching right now, which I don't think she is, she'd be commenting.
She believes that squash.
She'd be saying something about squash right now.
Yeah, squash is. I'm sorry. No,
it's racquetball.
It's a silly sport.
It's racquetball with more rules.
Anyway, I played golf a handful of times when I was a kid. Dude, I would slice it every single time, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're opening your club face up, and all this. I'm like, well, I'm trying, and it's not working. And I would like throw the clubs around and get so mad because I just wasn't good right away. And
yeah.
You know how long people spend their entire lives just trying to play okay at golf.
Like, I mean, it's the same thing with cooking. People work their whole lives to be a great chef. Like I was told in culinary school that it's going to take at least 7 years from when you leave to like be a decent enough chef. Just because
from when you graduate school?
From when you graduate school, it's going to take at least 7 years before you really have your stuff down. Because there's just so much to learn. You're going to go to so many different places.
And they're going to have a different way of
doing it. And so it's going to take like, it's going to take so long before you're actually like a legitimate chef that knows what they're doing, like down pat.
Dude, you know how many fucking different ways of hollandaise I've seen? Like, making hollandaise. Here's the problem with chefs. Is because once we found the way that works for us, if you see someone else doing it the other way, it makes you upset. Like, I say I can resonate with that feeling though. Like, I'm like, why are you doing it that way? Like, that's not the way you do it. And this is how it should be done.
That's so funny.
I've seen like, I literally have seen chefs in a pinch figure things out, right? And then it becomes like when you're in a bind and you need something on the fly. Oh, my hollandaise snapped. Mm-hmm. So it's all separated. It's broken. Yeah. And it's like, oh, the sous chef comes by. He's like, all right, cool. Grabs some egg yolks and puts them in a bowl and then dips the bowl in the like takes the fryer baskets out of the fryer and then dips the bowl in the fryer oil and starts going. Like, I've
never seen that done, but
it made really nice hollandaise. Yeah. People do it directly over the flame. People do it like it's so weird. And it is. The thing that I can say about that is you just have to know how emulsions work. And as long as you understand that science and how egg yolks cook. Right. As long as you understand how that goes, then you can theoretically apply any kind of heat source. Right. And if you pay attention to it, you'll be okay. So
right. I mean, I can get a little snooty too about certain things. We're like, what are you doing? That's not the right way to do it. But as long as the product comes out the same, then it's like, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like,
I had to learn, I had to do that a little bit when I was sous at Little Goat, of like seeing people do something different. At least like when I first got there, of like learning how things are done. Like, oh, that's not how you do scrambled eggs. Or that's not how you do this.
So I talked about going from 3-star to 1-star. You went from 3-star.
I went from 3-star to nothing. To a Little Goat diner. To a Little Goat. That was.
Granted, the food. Oh, I'm out of shot.
You are out of shot.
The food is awesome.
Yeah, Little Goat is so good. It's delicious. I miss it a lot.
But it is a diner.
It is a diner, and so I went from 3 Michelin star restaurant to diner food. Yeah, slinging hash.
So what was that like? I mean, and not only you went from a commis or like a prep cook position with virtually no leadership to a sous chef. Mm-hmm. So what was that like?
It was a little challenging because it was my first like official management position, and I had to like learn the ropes a little bit. I mean, first of all, when I first got there, I kind of had a bad attitude because I was like, oh my god, I went from working at Alinea to a diner. Oh yeah. Granted, it's a great diner, but it was still a diner. It's like I'm working the line, I'm making scrambled eggs, and it's like, this sucks. And God bless her, Julie wasn't helping. She'd bring everyone in from Alinea, and I already felt just ashamed to be there. And they would come look at the little porthole in the line, and I was like, I don't want anyone to see me doing this. I feel like I fell off this pedestal of like, I work at Alinea to now I work at a diner. But it turned around. We had a great team there, and I really worked on how to be a good leader. Working under Jeremy helped a lot because I could see he had a really fun attitude of being on the line, and I did my best to do that. And there is that kind of, you had mentioned before how like you kind of were not full of shit, but like you thought yourself a little better coming from Alinea when you went to Entente.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's like, I worked at one of the best restaurants in the world.
And Stephanie even told me that she almost didn't. She thought I'd be gone in 2 weeks.
Oh, she fucking hates those kids.
She doesn't like, because Alinea has that reputation of when you work at Alinea, you think you're better. Yeah. Even like I was only at Alinea for like 7 months, not that long.
Yeah, something like that.
And so I think people who had been there a while were a little weary of me coming in. It's like, oh, this fine dining guy's coming in, whatever. And so I had to earn their approval that I knew what I was talking about and I could lead them. And eventually it worked out.
You were there for a while, man.
I was there for a little over a year before I moved over to Duck Duck. But with being a leader, with being in the Navy, I'm not saying being in the military made me a good leader, but like I've always been put into leadership positions because I feel like I do try to take charge because I don't like when things are stagnant. Yeah, like I want to make the decision of like we got to be moving forward in like some way or another. And with Little Goat, there were things when I got there that I learned about from Alinea with like moving quickly and moving with a purpose and all of those things, which I also learned from the military, where you do have to just move very quickly.
Yeah.
With Alinea, it was like when I first got there and they're like, yeah, it takes us about 2.5 hours to close up. And I'm like, nope, that's changing. Because I'm not being here for 2.5 hours after we close. That's insane. We can go faster than that. And not by me, cracking the whip or anything, but it's like, you can go. It shouldn't take you that long to do this stuff. And so, I had to earn their approval and I had to lead by example. And then eventually I got there and I would talk shit to like everyone on the line to try to push them in a certain way. Be like, I'll break down any station any night of the week faster than all of you. Because I knew that they were competitive enough that they'd want to try to beat me. Yeah. They never did. Not that I know. But like, you just have to find what motivates people, because there was different motivations for everyone. Some people really wanted to be a chef and some people didn't. When some people worked at Little Goat that, they were just there for a job. They needed a paycheck. There was a lot of Hispanic workers there and they were badass. They'd work a brunch service like it was nothing. 900, 1,000 covers and just crushing it. It was just crushing it. And so I had to try to connect with them as best I could to know that like they're here for money. They don't care about the latest techniques of cooking. They're motivated by their paycheck. And so I had to try to work around that and try to.
And the thing is like it's the quote unquote hunger. You know what I mean? It's like whether you want to be a badass chef or whether you just need to feed your family, you know what I mean? Like that drive will always make a good worker. Yeah. But the thing about being a great chef, a lot of people seek fame with that, and that is like add some vanity to the mix. Yeah. Or it's just doing what you need to do and like busting ass so you can make as much money as possible. That I feel like is just a pure, like, I've met so many undocumented immigrants in restaurants that are some of the fastest, most efficient line cooks I've ever seen in my life. I'm all over the place. I am so inefficient, as just naturally speaking. I work really hard to try and be, but I just suck. Like when it comes to efficiency, I just think of a million things at once instead of like slowing down. Yeah. And so I'm watching these cooks. I'm like, dude, how? And they're like, I never went to school ever. I met one cook that literally never went to school. Yeah. Well, you mentioned the prep team at Cabra, just the ladies would come in and crush it. Oh, yeah. Little Goat had the same thing. There was like 4 or 5 women that came in. Oh, man. They would just crush everything. It was insane how fast they could work. And like, because at Little Goat, all the tortilla chips, the masa chips and everything were all made from scratch. And so they were just there, just pounding out tortillas and then frying them. It was insane. Those little ladies, they would, I mean, I used to joke, I'd be doing prep products and stuff with them, Yeah. If I had the time. Nice. But they would always like, I would try my best. I learned a lot of Spanish. Yeah. Work just by working in kitchens and stuff. But I still don't tell people that I speak it because I don't know enough. Yeah. But anyway, I try. Yeah. That's a big. And so I would intentionally botch pronunciations or whatever, just to get them to smile. Like these ladies, they were just like, just grinding, just 22 quarts of sweet potato slices on a mandolin, just sitting there for like 2 hours. You're like, dude, how about we all just take a moment and like laugh for a second? So I would always do some goofy dances or whatever. And
so that's the big one of like being in a management position of just like lightening the mood a little bit. Yeah. Like at Little Goat, if we got crushed by like some service, like weren't really allowed to do like staff beers or like staff drinks, but I would do my best to like get it because they had like nice sodas they had like the nice bottled sodas, Mexican Cokes and stuff. And I'd do my best to like get everyone something. I'd have bakery make us shakes or something like that. So it's like something to be like, I appreciate you guys. I can't give you raises because I don't have that power, but like, something to be like, you guys are crushing it and I appreciate you, which I think is lost in a lot of places that demand perfection because they're like, well, this is just expected.
Yeah, exactly.
You knew
Congratulations, you did your job.
Yeah,
mentality.
exactly.
That's
it's like,
so awful.
It is.
Because there's good days and there's bad days. Like, yeah, granted, you are technically just doing your job, but like, come on, man.
But we all know it's a hard job.
Yeah.
So, born in Mexico, I don't really speak Spanish. I was 14. Oh, thanks, Encinas, for making us feel better about our ability to speak Spanish. Addison speaks much better Spanish than I do. I don't even really speak Spanish. I can say some words. I'm not gonna say I speak Spanish or
I was gonna say
Spanish, but
that speaks volumes on your lack of Spanish speaking more than it does my ability to speak
I know. I try really hard. Every time I go to any restaurant, there's someone who speaks Spanish.
So let's wait a minute. So
we're not doing a Spanish off or something.
No, absolutely not. We worldwide here. No, Julie speaks Spanish and French and English.
Yeah,
fluently. She's a very smart lady.
She is.
She has because she wants Alex to be able to speak with her Quebecois family. They only speak French.
Oh, Julie's finally watching.
Oh, Jules,
you finally
there you
got
are.
Here.
A little late to
And
the party.
don't even act like you've been watching this whole time because
No,
I don't
never.
believe you.
Anyway, she taped all of the objects in our kitchen, every single thing.
Yeah.
She cut the tape as it should be cut, but
Yes.
everything is labeled in French. And watching her try and teach Alex French
It's
is
tough. I'm not.
simply hilarious.
I'm
It's
not-
one of my like. It's not even a guilty pleasure. I just enjoy it.
I'm not a good student. Well,
Well,
I
okay.
will say, what usually happens when she tries to teach me French, you chime in,
Yeah.
and then it's both of you just like trying to tell me different things of
Yeah.
like how to speak French. I'm like, I just zone out.
Yeah,
Like, I'm
which-
done.
which
I'm
would
done.
be
Just
a little
stop talking to me.
Well, the thing is, I just love languages. I think languages are so fucking cool, and that I jump in because I get excited.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though I don't know that much. Like, she obviously speaks it. She grew up speaking it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I took French for 2 years.
I
And
never
care
took
about it
any
a little.
foreign languages in college or in school or anything. But yeah, when you two get on your thing and just start, I'm like, it's my own insecurities, and I'm just like, I suck at this. So you guys are obviously better.
So you spiral. And
I
you
do.
snowball in uncomfortable situations with your roommates
Yeah.
versus at work when you're being paid to be there. Dude, I would trade that in.
I don't know.
Right
'cause,
fucking now.
well, I know you guys and I respect you, so it's like it means more. Plus, when chefs yell at me, like it depends. Like Stephanie would yell at me and she would crush me. I'm like, that sucked. And like the chefs at Alinea would also crush me, but it depended on like Simon would use the disappointment, and that always hurt a lot. He was very good at making me feel like I knew he was disappointed in me, and I'm like, God, I can do better than this. I want to, even though I was older than Simon, like I want to make you proud, Simon.
Yeah. The one thing they were good at, though, is when you had a bad service. I mean, bad service. I had a few of those. The next day, they still. Good morning, chef.
They usually-
Every single chef.
That's true. It was a clean slate.
Protocol.
Yeah.
It's a protocol. You walk up to each chef, and you fist bump them. You shake hands.
Yeah.
Whatever. Even if Atkins is there, you say, "Good morning, chef." He probably doesn't
Right.
know your name.
Right.
He does. He just doesn't ever use it.
Right.
So it was a clean slate, though.
It was a clean slate. That is
Good
very
morning,
true.
chef. We gonna. This is Doug. You gonna get the olives today or what? Yeah, chef. Prove it. And that's it.
That
But
is
it was
true.
like hey, dude, yesterday was tough, but like let's fucking go. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that was nice.
I mean,
about
it was-
that
yeah.
atmosphere.
I mean, Doug was the one who used to do the balloon strings, then I took over the balloon strings. Not right after him. He was already sous chef when I was there. But,
Yeah.
he was the one who'd come down hard on
Dude,
me.
that day in the basement. Oh my God.
That was rough. We were changing. We were done for the day. I had my coat on. I was about to walk out the door, and he comes downstairs with the balloon string and just shoves it in my face. And he's like, "Where are the layers? Where's the third layer?" And I'm just like,
You're like, I don't know, chef.
Well, first of all, the person who trained me didn't train me on 3 layers. I tried telling him that, and he's like, "Well, where's the second layer?" I was like, I can't. What do you want me to do? I folded it twice.
It's also fucking winter time, and you're trying to take apples.
Apples, the worst apples. They were mealy. I became a damn near apple expert.
Oh Jesus!
In mealy, I could just pick an apple up and just give it.
That's
a
how I
slight
became
grip.
about kohlrabi from those fucking dumplings at On Time. Doing the kohlrabi dumplings.
Yeah,
like I would same thing. When the guy brought in the kohlrabi,
you could just.
I would squeeze them and be like, nope, trash,
I
trash,
do
trash.
that though.
Send it back. Yeah, because you can only buy apples in the case.
Right. So I could feel a few of them and be like, oh, these are good. And have like 2 good apples. I would need like 14 for the day.
I would order 2 cases. Now, looking back at it, I wouldn't have then.
Yeah.
You know.
I did that with apples.
You ordered 2 cases and
yes.
then would send one back?
I wouldn't send them back because I knew I had to test literally all of them. Because I knew I needed enough apples for service. So I had to have enough apples come in to where I could throw away probably 75% of them because I couldn't use them.
Yeah. But for those of you who don't know, the apples that we're referring to, you would slice them on this vegetable slicer and roll them out into long, thin sheets. And then you had to poach those so they don't oxidize. And then you would stop me if I mess this up.
No,
you'd
right.
roll them up and then slice them very, very thin.
Yes.
And then coat them in...
I'd have to lay them out on a tray.
Yeah.
And then coat them with sugar and then dehydrate them to the perfect texture and consistency so they were bendy and chewy, but they wouldn't break.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I started putting them up on a hanger and letting them air dry after a certain time. That was the turning point. That's when I started getting really good at it.
Wait, that was you? You created that technique?
I think Doug told me. He told me to try it. And when I started doing that, I was like, this is genius. And then sometimes I would put a fan.
A lot of things.
There was a fan upstairs, and I would put it on the strings and have it oscillate.
Oh, that was a good fan.
Yeah. And so I started crushing the balloon strings at that point. And then, unfortunately, Danny Koo, I don't know if you're watching, but I trained you. I did my best with you, Danny Koo.
Yeah. You fucked it all up, buddy.
Yeah.
Love you.
Yeah,
But,
I love you. You're great. I love training you, but didn't work out so well.
Dude, this alone will change people's perspective. These people at Alinea said, let's take apples, right? Make them into strings to hold our edible balloon, right? That alone was fucking nuts. Then they said, we're tired of the apple flavor. Let's take these apples and make them taste like grapes. Are you fucking kidding me?
I had to poach them in this grape juice to make them purple and make them taste good. And then I had to spray them with dye. And I don't know if you ever try to dry anything, but when you spray them with more liquid, they don't dry as well.
No.
And so if it didn't look like big league chewing gum, I failed.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was not fun.
Oh, God, dude. Jesus Christ. But the thing is, like, his balloon strings, everyone has that project at that restaurant. Like, everybody.
Yeah. And I was shocked when I got that. When I came in on, like, my first day, and they're like, oh, we're doing balloon strings. I'm like, I have to do one of the most iconic menu items this restaurant has done.
Oh, God.
Is the balloons. Like, I'm already in charge of doing that. It's like, oh, man. It was so stressful. But Justin Timberlake came in to eat at Alinea while we were there, and he made a video of him eating the balloon. And I was like, I made that string.
Yeah, that feels good.
That did
you know
feel
what?
good.
You know what? When I was doing cocktail, it felt really good to see people on Instagram being like, "Oh my God, has someone look at this? I was in the kitchen." And of course, they're like, the video starts with me being like, "Here's the imperial shaker," and then they quickly turn around like, "Where's Grant Atkins? Oh, he's not here."
I know.
You know,
Julie, did we fall in love rolling strings, or did you fall in love with me rolling strings? That's the question.
Oh, well, I mean, I know you probably looked really good doing it.
She liked my hands when I was doing it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I was losing weight rapidly then, so I was very skinny. sickly kind of looking. But
yeah, I don't think you fell in love because you were so focused on doing the strings well.
no, as
You were falling in love with her.
I told her many times it was love at first sight. She doesn't believe me.
Yeah, I don't either, buddy. Sorry. I love you and her so much, but I don't. Come on.
All right.
Come on. You're telling me right now.
All right. It wasn't right then and there. It was at the Christmas party. That's what
Okay.
did it. That's what did it.
So
for me.
you had a defining moment versus love at first sight is literally on her
I
side.
know, but I like to make her feel bad because it took her, I think, a lot longer than it did me.
Okay, fair enough. Fine. And it took a whole lot of convincing.
It did take a whole lot.
Took some brainwashing on my behalf.
Well, good. Thank you. I'm glad you have my back.
I had her eyes peeled open with clothespins, the whole works, and just flashing
flashbacks.
images.
Where did this take place at? Did you just like chain her
we're
up
not
in
going to
her
talk about it,
apartment?
man.
Okay, that's fair.
Secretly, I've had that storage unit that we went to today. The whole time. Yeah, so I had a projector.
Okay. You had the whole Clockwork Orange set up.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Nice. All right, that worked out. I mean,
So
it worked out.
yeah,
We're
now
getting married,
you're getting married. So
yeah, there we go. You're officiating too, so that's pretty exciting. Have you been working on your it's not a speech. I don't know what that's called. You're offici. I don't know what that's called.
I don't know. I'm gonna keep it classy.
Okay.
Like I'm just gonna be for the ceremony.
Yeah.
Because I know I got a speech.
You're gonna give a speech.
I got a speech later on, and so it's like, well, that's when I can be all goofy.
That's true. You have a few drinks in you.
I don't want to piss people off. I'm honestly very nervous about Julie's family being there.
It's gonna be.
I know
They're fun.
your mom
They're
and
fun.
the Ottusches and all them will be. They know me already anyway.
That's
so
true. That's true.
That's fine. But like I met Catherine.
Yeah. Have you met her mom?
And Pole.
Yeah.
I met her too, but and they were very nice to me, but I still am just very nervous.
It's okay. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. You're gonna do great. It's gonna be great. All right. Well, we're at like almost an hour and a half. So
holy shit, really?
we've just been talking.
We haven't finished the 40s, dude.
I know we haven't, but it's all right. I'm sure people are tired of watching. They want to go.
Probably.
Could be later in certain, depending on where people are watching from. I don't know where everyone is, but all right. Well, I know that was kind of a little different. Oh, your mom loves you. That was a little different from our normal show,
Mom.
but I think it was good, and I had fun talking to Addison here about a little bit more about his career. I've heard some of those stories before, but it's always fun to kind of hash it out and keep talking, especially with some malt liquor here.
The superior alcohol.
Absolutely.
The only kind of liquor that gets you hammered drunk for less than 10 cents an ounce.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll let you guys go for the night. Next week, don't have an episode because I'm going to be traveling, unfortunately. But in 2 weeks, I will have another guest on, so it'll be great. Oh, what's up, Thomas?
Poopy.
Glad you can make it after this one. He's too tired. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Unfortunately, we didn't have a lightning round. It was kind of just free form for this one because it was just fun, Farewell episode, just had to kind of reminisce a little bit in this episode. You're not framing it. Stop leaning back.
It's just comfortable.
If you're in these colder states right now, hope you're staying warm. It's a blizzard coming through the Midwest. Something I don't really watch the news, but we're getting hit with snow right now. But hope everyone is good. Hope everyone stays safe. Take care, and we will see you next time. So have a good night, everybody.